Welcome to The Deep Dive. If you are prepping for a meeting, commuting, or maybe just trying to finally figure out who that guy is you see everywhere in comedy, well, you're in the right place.
Yeah, we're talking about Andy Daly today.
Exactly. He's this comedic chameleon, manages to pop up in almost everything, prestige TV, weird animation, you name it.
But often behind the character, right? You know the face, or definitely the voice, but maybe not always the name attached to these incredibly memorable, often very strange performances.
Totally. He's got this amazing ability to be both ubiquitous and somehow hidden in plain sight, always playing these characters with such unwavering, earnest authority.
That's really the heart of it, isn't it? That commitment. If you've watched Veep or laughed at Krumbupulos Michael on Rick and Morty,
Oh, great one.
or if you're into that specific niche of comedy podcasts, you definitely know Andy Daly's work. So our mission today in this deep dive is really to map out that whole journey.
Yeah, connect the dots.
Exactly. From his, foundational training, which is pretty rigorous, all the way to the character-driven kind of empire he's built across live action, voice work, audio, the works.
And we've got a pretty hefty stack of sources here. Covers everything from his early improv days, a really comprehensive filmography, even TV projects lined up for next year, 2025.
Yeah, it's extensive.
So this discussion is really your complete guide. You'll understand how this one guy became the indispensable utility player of modern comedy.
By specializing,
Yeah.
really. Specializing in characters who are just 100% dedicated to their own completely absurd internal logic.
It's brilliant. Okay, let's dive in. All right, so starting at the beginning, education roots. Where did this all start?
Okay, so Andy Daly, born April 15, 1971, Mount Kisco, New York. Our source notes him as 54 back in early 2021. But yeah, the timeline shows this just constant, intense output. Started basically right after college.
And that background, the training is important, right? It's not just jumping into stand-up.
Not at all. It's something that gets glossed over in comedy, He was born in New York, but actually grew up in New Jersey. Ridgewood High School, graduated 89.
Okay.
Then comes the formal training, Ithaca College. And he got a Bachelor of Fine Arts, a BFA in drama.
Ah, okay, so BFA, that's different from just a BA.
Exactly. It's performance intensive, heavy-duty acting training. This wasn't just, reading plays. It's about performance craft.
Right.
And that formal kind of theatrical background, it gave him the tools to really ground characters in some kind of dramatic reality, which, as we'll see, is absolutely crucial for his later stuff.
Yeah, where the premise is completely bonkers.
But the performance has to be totally deadly serious, straight-faced.
And you can see that focus maybe informing his early choices. After college, he heads to New York City.
Right. And he forms this sketch duo, the Two Andys, with Andy Secunda.
Okay, I remember them.
Yeah, and they got noticed. They performed at the Aspen Comedy Festival in '99. That's a pretty big deal, especially back then.
Definitely signals he was, on the radar. Industry recognized him early.
And at the same time, he wasn't just doing sketch. He was deep in the established improv scene, too. He was an improvisational actor, main stage company at Chicago City Limits.
Okay.
But the real turning point, the thing that arguably defines his trajectory and, frankly, a huge chunk of modern comedy.
It's got to be UCB.
It's the Upright Citizens Brigade. Absolutely pivotal.
That UCB connection, it feels like it explains so much of his style.
It really does. So when UCB made the move from Chicago to New York, that was 1996, Daly was right there, one of the very first New Yorkers to sign up and start studying improv with them.
Wow, okay. So ground floor.
Totally ground floor, which basically put him at the genesis of what we now call alt comedy. He was there when the DNA was being formed.
And that UCB training, it's a specific kind, right? It's not just whose line is it
Anyway,
do I games.
Right, exactly. They specialized in long-form improvisation. Harold, Armando, those kinds of formats.
Explain that a bit for people who might not know.
Sure. So unlike short-form games, where it's quick scenes or jokes, long-form takes a single suggestion from the audience. Just one word, maybe. And the performers build an entire, self-contained world, a whole narrative around it, staying in character, building the story, maybe for 20, 30 minutes sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, it teaches incredible commitment. You have to totally buy into the reality you're creating. And it teaches structure, how to build something comedic over time.
And Daly obviously took to it. The source mentions he was in a key group there.
Oh, yeah, a really influential long-form group called The Swarm.
The Swarm. Okay.
And the pedigree of The Swarm, that's what really cemented his place. It was assembled and actually directed by Amy Poehler.
Amy Poehler, wow.
Right when the New York UCB Theater was really starting up, being in that group, that meant you were basically being handpicked vetted by the architects of this whole new character.
Totally honest inside some ridiculous situation.
Yeah. That was being forged right there. Honed, nurtured by the best in the business in that UCB crucible. It's foundational.
Okay, so moving out of that foundational phase, we get into the 2000s, and Daly's career just seems to explode. But maybe not in the way you'd expect, like landing one big lead role immediately.
No, it was more like saturation. He became this constant, instantly recognizable face, popping up across all the top sketch and satire shows. You could almost call it his media sprint phase.
Good term.
In the late 90s, early 2000s, you saw him all the time in sketches on late night with Conan O'Brien.
Right, often playing the straight man or the slightly frazzled expert type.
Exactly. And at the same time, he's doing voice work for Robert Smigel's TV Funhouse cartoons over on SNL.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, like he voiced Joseph of Arimathea in one of those.
Yeah.
Which just shows the range, right? One minute he's an uptight network exec on Conan. The next he's a biblical figure for, a Smigel puppet sketch.
Yeah.
Total versatility from the get-go.
And then there's the big sketch show experience, MAD-TV.
Right, it's been serious time there. He joined as a featured player, season 6, then got bumped up to full cast member for season 7, did 38 episodes total.
That's a significant run, and MAD-TV requires churning out characters constantly.
Absolutely. Week after week, new characters, new impressions, really flexing those UCB muscles, just in a different format.
And if you connect those dots, Conan, SNL voice work, MAD-TV, it kind of explains why he became such a go-to guy later on.
Totally. Because right after that, he spends years consistently playing these like professional correspondent or advocate roles, characters who need instant gravitas, but with that satirical edge.
Like on the Showbiz Show with David Spade.
Yep, correspondent on all 3 seasons of that. And he was an advocate on both seasons of Louis Black's Root of All Evil.
Right, debating ridiculous topics.
Exactly. So he's not just performing characters, he's performing analysis, performing satire about the media landscape itself. It's quite meta, in a way.
Which leads perfectly into those guest spots that really cemented him as that reliable, maybe slightly unhinged utility player. The one everyone points to is The Office.
Oh, absolutely. 2007, the Ben Franklin episode. He plays Gordon, the Benjamin Franklin impersonator hired for Phyllis's party.
It's such a perfect Daly role.
It's a masterclass in his whole comedic identity.
Yeah.
He's the expert, right? The historical authority figure. But he takes the job so seriously, he cannot break character, even faced with total Dunder Mifflin chaos.
His reaction when Pam questions his historical accuracy.
Priceless. It's that authority figure just slightly crumbling because someone found a tiny crack in his perfect facade. Pure gold.
And around the same time, we also saw him as a main cast member on Comedy Central's Crossballs.
Yeah, that parody news show. He did 15 episodes, and he was a writer on it, too.
Oh, writer, too. Interesting.
And, of course, who could forget Brad, the friendly homeowner, on Reno 911?
Oh, my gosh, Brad. Yes.
6 episodes of him just wanting to have a friendly chat with the cops while, absolute insanity is happening in his front yard. Another version of that oblivious, earnest, slightly off authority figure.
But if we're talking about roles that really let him anchor absurdity, we have to talk about Eastbound and Down.
Yes, definitely. His role as Principal Terrence Cutler, that was a major supporting role, 10 episodes, 2009 to 2012. That's pivotal.
Cutler is just the perfect foil.
He is the pressure cooker.
Yeah.
He's this totally straight-laced principal, just desperately trying to keep things normal.
While Kenny Powers, Danny McBride, is just unleashing pure, unadulterated chaos onto this poor middle school.
And Daly's performance, that's what grounds it. His grounded, sort of desperate realism makes Kenny Powers feel genuinely dangerous, not just cartoonish. You feel Cutler's bureaucratic exhaustion. It's brilliant.
So it raises that question, you mentioned it earlier. If he's such a master character actor, why so much time as the correspondent, the guest star, the supporting principal, instead of maybe lead roles earlier on?
Well, I think it speaks to what the industry needed. Showrunners realized, hey, we can drop Andy Daly into basically any situation that requires instant comedic gravitas.
Right.
Someone who commits 100% without needing jokey punchlines.
Yeah.
He just elevates the whole scene by fully being that character. They know they could rely on him for that specific thing.
That reliability, that specific skill set probably led to that tantalizing what-if moment, the Match Game pilot.
Yes. 2008. He hosted a pilot for a Match Game revival. It never actually aired, which is a shame.
But it shows the network saw that potential, right?
Yeah.
Him as the host, the ultimate authority figure who could potentially carry a big franchise.
Definitely. And He did try the traditional sitcom route, too. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
2011, he starred in The Paul Reiser Show on NBC.
Okay, I vaguely remember that. Didn't last long.
Brutally short.
Yeah.
NBC put it on as a mid-season replacement, canceled after just 2 episodes aired. They actually made 7, but only 2 saw the light of day.
Ouch. Network TV can be rough.
It's just the reality sometimes. It doesn't matter how good the performer is. Timing, scheduling, network whims, it can sink a show.
Well, what's really telling about Daly's resilience and his value in the industry is how quickly he pivoted from that. He didn't just disappear.
Not at all. He immediately slid right into the highest levels of prestige comedy. He became the go-to guy for those serious, often academic or corporate, supporting roles on the buzziest shows.
Yeah, you started seeing him everywhere. HBO, ABC.
Exactly. He became the actor you hire when you need that figure of authority whose ego is maybe just a little too big for their actual power.
Okay, yeah, give us examples.
Well, think about his recurring roles.
Yeah.
Dr. Crawford in Silicon Valley.
Right, the doctor who's maybe a bit too invested in his tech diagnosis.
Totally. Or Keith Quinn in Veep. That entitled Political Operative. Principal Prince Brown in Modern Family.
Yeah.
Dr. Evan Windsor in Black-ish. Tom Hinkle in Trial and Error.
It's a pattern. The slightly officious professional.
Absolutely. In Black-ish, he's often the doctor delivering kind of uncomfortable news with that professional, almost distant warmth. In Silicon Valley, Dr. Crawford is that clinical voice trying to rationalize completely insane tech problems.
He just consistently delivers that specific flavor of performance.
Yeah.
The guy who absolutely believes he's the smartest person in the room.
But maybe only by a tiny margin or in a very specific, slightly off way. It's his niche.
Okay, this feels like the main event. We arrive at the character, the show, that feels like the purest distillation of Andy Daly's genius, the ultimate vehicle for that UCB hone commitment we keep talking about.
Yeah, review on Comedy Central. This is it. This is the centerpiece.
The definition of a cult classic, right?
Yeah.
Ran for 3 seasons.
Yep. 2014 to 2017. Total of 22 episodes. He starred as a host, Forrest McNeil.
And what's really crucial here, our sources point this out, he wasn't just the actor. He was deeply involved behind the scenes.
Oh, massively. Co-creator, executive producer, writer. This show was basically custom built for him, for his specific comedic sensibilities.
It was adapted from an Australian show.
Yeah, that's right. Review with Miles Barlow.
Yeah.
Daly and his team took that concept and really ran with it, making it uniquely his own.
So explain the premise for someone who maybe hasn't seen it, because it's wild.
It's brilliantly simple and utterly insane. Forrest McNeil hosts a TV show where he reviews life experiences.
Not products, not movies, life itself.
Exactly. Anything a viewer asks him to review, he does it. Eating 15 pancakes, stealing, being Batman, getting a divorce, starting a dangerous addiction.
Oh my God.
Leading a cult, even murder. He approaches these huge, life-shattering events with the exact same detached, clinical, 5-star rating commitment he'd give reviewing, like a new blender.
And the core of the comedy and the darkness is that he cannot refuse a review request.
That's the engine. His catchphrase sums it up. Life. It's literally all we have. But is it any good? I'm Forrest McNeil, and I am here to answer that question.
And he will absolutely obliterate his own life, his marriage, his friendships, his physical and mental health, pursuing that answer.
Purely because the format of his show demands it. His dedication to the job is absolute, even as it leads to total catastrophe.
If you analyze the commitment needed for that role, it's staggering.
Think about it. Season 1 alone, he reviews divorce. So he divorces his wife, Suzanne. He reviews addiction, gets addicted to cocaine.
And then reviews it like it's just another assignment.
Exactly. Gives cocaine like 2 stars. Notes the come down was inconvenient for his production schedule. It's horrifyingly funny.
But you feel for him somehow.
You do, because Daly plays it with such unwavering conviction. The audience's sympathy, bizarrely, comes from Forrest's absolute dedication to the rules of his own show. He's trapped by his own commitment.
It's that blend, again, the formal, dramatic training meeting, absurdist improv. He takes the emotional stakes completely seriously.
Right. Which makes you genuinely concerned for Forrest, even as he does increasingly idiotic, self-destructive things. Like, there's a famous one where he has to review what it's like to kill a loved one.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's dark.
Extremely dark. But the commitment Daly brings to portraying Forrest's anguish, even while performing this insane task for his show, is just profound comedic acting.
So review really is the ultimate expression of his whole thing. The character's internal logic is completely sound, I must do my job.
Perfect logic from his perspective.
But the external reality is just utter escalating disaster.
It's the highest form of comedic commitment. Yeah, honestly, probably only someone forged in that UCB long-form fire, someone trained to stay in that reality for extended periods, could pull it off for 3 whole seasons. It's a masterpiece. #TinyLV. From character comedy to podcasting dominance.
So review ends, but that character work, that ability to just generate and sustain these deeply strange personas, it didn't stop. In fact, it found maybe its most perfect, unending outlet.
Yeah, the audio world. Podcasting. This is where he transforms from being a really respected TV actor into like a foundational figure in what people call alt comedy audio.
And it makes sense because his stand-up was already character-based, right?
Exactly. He wasn't just doing observational jokes. His act was often built around him performing as different characters. Like back in 2007, his character, Jerry O'Hearn, was featured on the Comedy Death Ray compilation album.
Okay, so even then, the characters were strong enough to work just on audio?
Totally. Fully formed enough to land without the visuals. And that live character energy translated directly into a big audio project for him.
The album?
Yep, 2008, he released 9 sweaters on a Special Thing Records. And that wasn't just, a studio recording. It was compiled from a 9-week residency he did at the Comedy Death Ray Tuesday night shows at UCB Theater.
Wow, 9 weeks straight.
Yeah, which just shows the sheer volume of material, the number of fully realized personas he was generating constantly, all built around that core idea, commitment to a specific, often very skewed worldview.
So when podcasting really took off, it was like the perfect medium landed in his lap.
It was absolutely the ideal medium for him. If network TV couldn't always contain his, fire hose of specific weird characters, audio offered this infinite canvas.
And he became a fixture on all the big early comedy podcasts.
Oh, yeah, a regular guest everywhere. Comedy, bang, bang, obviously. Super Rigo, How Did This Get Made?
Yeah.
The Nerdist Podcast, Office Ladies, Never Not Funny. You name a foundational comedy podcast, he was probably on it.
And those guest spots, they were like workshops, right? Trying out new voices, new characters.
Exactly. He could just drop into character, riff with the hosts, and see what landed. It was perfect for developing these personas on the fly.
Which leads to his own podcast project, the one that feels like the ultimate showcase for his particular brand of madness.
The Andy Daly Podcast Pilot Project. The ADPPP, yeah. That was a limited run thing on Earwolf. Started in 2014, then came back for a second season, 8 episodes, in 2018.
And the format is just brilliant.
It's perfect for his character engine, as you called it. The whole premise is that each episode is a deliberately failed pilot for a new podcast.
Hosted by one of his characters.
Right. Each one hosted by a different, fully developed Andy Daly character. So you might get like a travel show hosted by someone who's clearly never left their house, or a history podcast hosted by a complete moron.
But they're totally committed to the premise.
Utterly. It's basically structured improv as narrative comedy. The characters are set up within these absurd formats, and then they just inevitably spectacularly fail because of who they are. It's hilarious.
Okay, and speaking of characters who have taken on a life of their own, we absolutely have to talk about Dalton Wilcox.
Yes. Dalton, the poet laureate of the West.
He might be Daly's most pervasive, most recognizable original character at this point.
He's definitely up there. Dalton Wilcox is just this beautiful case study in committed absurdity. He's this rugged, old-school cowboy type.
Very serious.
Very serious. Exists entirely in his own bizarre universe where, dealing with werewolves is just as common as complaining about millennials.
And the poetry.
Oh, the poetry. The sheer dedication required to deliver just terrible, rambling cowboy poetry about hunting vampires or mundane frustrations, all with this unwavering, solemn gravitas. It's immense. It's genius.
And the character isn't just confined to one place. He pops up everywhere.
That's what's amazing. The consistency is incredible. He's been on the Comedy Bang Bang TV show and the podcast multiple times. He's on Daly's current podcast, Bananas for Bonanza.
Which Daly hosts, continuing that high-concept character format.
Exactly. Dalton had his own ADPPP episode, The Wit and Wisdom of the West with Dalton Wilcox. And Daly even brought Dalton Wilcox to network TV, performed as him on Conan.
That's incredible. He can just deploy this character anywhere.
It really shows what a fully realized character he is. He can shift from an intimate, improv-heavy audio environment to a structured late-night TV spot, and Dalton Wilcox remains exactly Dalton Wilcox. That specific, hilarious, deeply weird internal logic stays intact.
It just proves that the UCB training, that commitment, It's not just about making stuff up, it's about creating characters so real, so defined, they can exist credibly across any platform.
Was a bot.
It's fascinating, isn't it, that the same skills he honed creating these really specific, often kind of bizarre characters for live improv and podcasts, well, animation directors clearly saw that and went, yes, please.
Absolutely. For millions of viewers, maybe especially younger ones or fans of animation, Andy Daly's face might be secondary. It's his voice that's become utterly indispensable.
Yeah, switching gears to animation, the range is just wild. He spans everything from really dark adult comedy to huge family franchises.
It proves that commitment, that ability to fully inhabit a character vocally, works across every demographic. It's not just for edgy comedy.
Okay, let's start with the adult side. For anyone who watches Rick and Morty.
Krampopoulos Michael.
Yes, the cheerful assassin from Morty Night Run. Such a fan favorite.
And Krampopoulos Michael is like the perfect distillation of the Daly persona, isn't he? He's an authority figure, a professional killer, but he's so earnest and cheerful about his horrific job.
Oh boy, here I go, killing again.
Exactly. He talks about mass murder like he's discussing his grocery list. This cheerful sociopath whose commitment to process makes him both hilarious and deeply unsettling.
Yeah.
Classic Daly.
He's also got major roles in the DC animated universe, specifically Harley Quinn.
Yeah, he's all over that show. Voices multiple key characters. Two-Face, notably, but also the president, Mr. Miracle,
Yeah.
appeared in like 10 episodes so far, maybe more now.
And also prominent roles in Solar Opposites.
Voiced Tim Weekly for 10 episodes there.
Oh.
And J.R. Shinepo in Inside Job on Netflix for 18 episodes. Almost always, he's voicing these figures of power or bureaucracy or just intense oddballs.
But the versatility really hits home when you look at the other side, the family and all ages animation. He's just as prolific there.
Totally beloved for a whole generation of kids and, let's be honest, adults who watched Adventure Time.
King of Ooh.
He voiced the King of Ooh and also Wyatt. Did 13 episodes and then even came back as Wyatt for the spin-off, Adventure Time, Distant Lands.
And the King of Ooh, that feels like another application of the Daly type, right? This petty ruler with a slightly unearned sense of importance.
Exactly. It's that comedic niche just translated perfectly into a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
The slightly insecure authority figure.
And beyond fantasy, he's deep in the fabric of current animated sitcoms.
Oh, yeah. He's done various voices on Bob's Burgers across 10 episodes or so.
Okay.
And for current Disney Channel viewers, he's Officer Keyes on Big City Greens. That's a huge role.
How many episodes?
Our source says 31 episodes from 2018, heading towards a planned 2025 movie called Spacecation. So Officer Keyes is a constant presence.
Then Officer Keyes is.
The classic, friendly, earnest, slightly bumbling authority figure, trying so hard to keep his small town safe with this unwavering, if maybe slightly misguided dedication. He's pure Daly archetype, just in a kid-friendly package.
We also have to mention The Great North, another great show.
Yep, voices Uncle Mike and also Cheesecake on that one, across 25 episodes.
The sheer volume is just staggering.
It really proves that his particular brand of committed character performance, delivered through voice alone, isn't just a nice-to-have for these shows. It feels like a necessary ingredient, especially when you need quick, deep characterization without a lot of screen time. He delivers instantly recognizable personality.
Okay, so just briefly circling back to his live-action film work, obviously his TV and audio stuff might overshadow it a bit.
Yeah, perhaps less defining, but still important.
But the film roles also seem to reinforce that pattern we've been talking about, playing specific, often high-pressure, authority-type roles.
Absolutely. Like, remember him in Semi-Pro? The Will Ferrell movie from 2008?
Vaguely. Who was he?
He was Dick Pepperfield, the courtside announcer, using that perfect authoritative announcer voice to deliver incredibly specific, kind of ridiculous ABA basketball jargon with utter seriousness.
Okay, yes. Perfect casting. And he was in She's Out of My League, too.
Played Mr. Fuller in that one, 2010. And, you know, you got to have the obligatory holiday movie credit.
Right. Everyone needs one.
He was in Christmas with the Cranks, way back in 2004. Tiny role, but memorable. He played a disgruntled husband, a shopper who Jamie Lee Curtis tries to bribe for the last Christmas ham.
Oh my God, I think I remember that.
It's that little moment of high-stakes suburban frustration. He's the authority figure of his own household under pressure who can apparently be bought off with meat. It's great.
And keeping with that theme of local authority figures, Mayor Brown in the Yogi Bear movie.
Yep, the 2010 live-action CGI one, he played the mayor. And then more recently, Principal Ken Dwight in Middle School. The worst years of my life in 2016.
Principal again.
Always the principal, the mayor, the doctor. And recent film roles like Cameron Robbins in The Space Between, Aaron Campbell and Jules, the pattern holds. Whether it's animation or live action, comedy, or something straighter, he's very often cast as the expert, the official, the person in charge.
Yeah.
Hashtag Jack City. Current work and personal life context.
So what really stands out, especially for you listening, is just his longevity and his continued relevance. He's got major projects lined up years in advance. This guy is definitely not slowing down.
Not even slightly. Just look at the project slated for 2025 alone. It really shows how highly valued he still is. He was cast as a character named Casper in a TV movie called Mountainhead.
Okay.
And what's particularly interesting there is that it's written by Jesse Armstrong.
The creator of Succession. Yeah.
Exactly. Which tells you that even the absolute top tier of prestige drama writers recognize the specific weight and unique quality Daly can bring to a character. That film's set for May 31st, 2025 on HBO and Max.
That's huge.
Yeah. And he also has voice work scheduled for 2025 in something called Common Side Effects. So still very much in demand across genres.
And his recent TV appearances also show him being pulled into these big high-profile reboots and dramas.
Totally. In 2024, he popped up as Fred Norton in an episode of The New Night Court. And he was Roland in a 2023 episode of The Frasier Revival. Which, again, playing that kind of precise, maybe slightly fussy character type that fits perfectly into the Frasierverse.
And speaking of prestige drama again, Lessons in Chemistry.
Right. Appeared in 4 episodes of that in 2023 as Dr. Richard Price, which just reinforces that pattern one more time, even when he steps away from outright comedy into a period drama about science and sexism.
He's cast as the academic authority figure.
Immediately. His natural seriousness, that inherent commitment he brings, it grounds the character instantly, regardless of the genre. He just reads as credible authority.
Okay, before we wrap this all up and synthesize, we should probably touch on his commercial work, too. Because for a while there, he was very recognizable from those CarMax ads.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Ran from about 2016 to 2019. If you watch network TV, you saw those ads.
And they worked because?
Because they played right into his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
He was noted specifically for going for earnest humor as their spokesman.
Right, the friendly, maybe slightly out of touch, but totally sincere and dedicated car salesman or company guy.
The guy who inherently trusts the process, believes in the system. It's the same persona that works for selling used cars as works for, reviewing Divorce on Review. That earnestness is key.
Amazing. And finally, just a quick note on his personal life, because it provides some context.
Right. Amidst all this incredibly prolific, often chaotic character work, he seems to have maintained a pretty stable personal base. Lives in Los Angeles, married to actress Carrie Levinson since 2004.
And they have 2 daughters.
Yeah. And you have to imagine that having that stable foundation probably allows him the creative freedom to just commit so fully to the instability and absurdity of the characters he plays professionally.
That makes a lot of sense. Hashtag tag outro.
So, okay, if we pull it all together, try to synthesize everything we've covered. The story of Andy Daly, it's not just, a list of credits on IMDb. It's really a structural analysis of how modern comedy success can work.
So?
Well, he's the performer who perfectly navigated that huge shift from the very structured, rigorous, character-first world of live UCB improv into basically every new medium that popped up afterwards. Prestige TV, high-concept podcasting, animation for all ages.
And his superpower throughout is?
The absolute commitment, the ability to completely 100% buy into an absurd premise or a flawed character's logic. Whether he's Forrest McNeil reviewing Life into Oblivion or Dalton Wilcox reciting terrible cowboy poetry, he brings these fully realized, unique, often deeply weird characters into every single medium he touches. And he never breaks.
Yeah, our key takeaway for you listening is that Andy Daly isn't just a funny guy. He's a specialist. He doesn't just play random characters. He specializes in embodying the expert or the authority figure.
Right. The principal, the mayor, the doctor, the host, the spokesman, the inspector, the ambassador.
And this is the crucial twist in almost every case, that authority figures' dedication to their own internal logic is just slightly off-skewed, or maybe even dangerously misguided.
And that's what makes it hilarious. He never winks at the audience. He believes in the character's reality 100%. That unwavering dedication is the joke. He lets you find the absurdity.
Okay, so that commitment, that specific kind of authority, it raises a fun final question for you to chew on.
All right, let's hear it.
We established his character, Dalton Wilcox, is the self-proclaimed poet laureate of the West. We also know Daly himself hosted that unaired pilot for the Match Game revival.
Right.
So, based on this whole deep dive, thinking about his vast array of authoritative, often slightly unhinged roles, from the cheerfully murderous Crumbopulous Michael to the desperately earnest Principal Cutler, or maybe even Officer Pease, which Andy Daly character, human or animated, would you nominate to actually host that Match Game revival?
Ooh, good one. Who brings that perfect blend of misplaced confidence, unwavering authority, and maybe just a touch of potential disaster to that specific hosting role?
Exactly. Who's your pick? We'll leave you to debate that one. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.